I'd like to call the meeting of December 9th to order. I don't know if we have a minister out there that wants to do an invocation. I don't see one, so we'll move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you all please rise for the pledge? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. We'll move on to roll call. Denisha, are you there? Michelle, are you there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, good. Go right ahead and do roll call.
Trustee Blue,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez, Trustee Horn,
I'm here.
Trustee Razek.
Present,
Trustee
sorry.
Wilson,
Present,
Trustee Wilson,
present.
Trustee Udress.
Present.
Okay, we'll move on to open to the public, agenda items only. If anyone out there wants to make any comments, please give your name and address. Okay, we have no one for that. The consent agenda. I'd like a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Paul.
Second.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Horn,
Yes.
Trustee Razek,
Yes.
Sorry.
Trustee Wilson,
Yes.
Trustee Udress,
Yes.
Trustee Blue.
Yes.
Michelle, looks like we have Heidi with us now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the clerk's report. Denisha, yet? No.
No report.
Okay. Mayor's report. I have no report at this time. Maybe later. Administrator's report, David.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, before I present my report to the board and the public, I would like to defer for a few comments and updates from Finance Director Daryl Bulliner. Daryl, are you online with us?
Is it David then?
Hello, Daryl?
Maybe he's muted.
He could be.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can now.
Okay, so previously it had been reported that First Midwest Bank would open their lobby on December 7th. However, with the COVID-19 situation still ongoing, they have decided to delay that opening. The branch in Peatone, they do have their lobby open daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Friday, and 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Saturdays. They do, however, accept appointments for the lobby in Monee, but you can make those appointments only via the internet on their First Midwest Bank website. Also, earlier this week, we sent out a link for a BSNA presentation that had previously been scheduled for a previous board meeting. However, with COVID as well, that has been delayed. However, each trustee did receive a link to the video presentation, which I believe will be presented at our next board meeting in January. If anyone should have any questions in regards to the presentation, please feel free to contact me.
Thank you, Daryl. Is that it for you?
That is it, yes.
Thank you very much for those updates.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor and Board of Trustees, I have item H1 on the agenda this evening is a TIF payment request with AP Ridgeland Avenue LLC. The village has received a request for a TIF reimbursement payment from AP Ridgeland Avenue LLC for tax year 2019 for the property located at 25850 South Ridgeland Avenue. The property taxes for tax year 2019 have been paid in full. The amount of the TIF reimbursement due per the redevelopment agreement is $729,652.01. The action requested this evening is the motion to authorize TIF reimbursement payment to AP Ridgeland Avenue LLC in the amount of $729,652.01.
Could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
I do have one question.
Forget, Janet, you're too late.
I know we've all seen the paperwork on this. This is not new, but obviously all of the requirements that are to be met in order to facilitate this TIF payment have been met, correct?
It is correct.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Razak,
Yes.
trustee Wilson,
Yes.
trustee Udress,
Yes.
trustee Blue,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez,
Yes.
trustee Horn.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item H2 on the agenda is a bulk road salt purchase. And attached for your review was a resolution authorizing the use of motor fuel tax dollars to purchase bulk road salt for fiscal year 21 in the amount of $30,848.40. Superintendent Crizel initiated a rebid of the product pricing through State of Illinois Central Management Services, and the price came in at $46.74 per ton, or approximately 30% lower than the previous year. Therefore, the action requested this evening is a motion to pass a resolution authorizing the purchase of bulk road salt in the amount of $30,848.40 using motor fuel tax dollars.
Could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
It's going to be resolution number 2020-4. Trustee Wilson,
Yes.
trustee Udress,
Yes.
trustee Blue,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez,
Yes.
trustee Horn,
Yes.
trustee Razak.
Yes.
You have anything else, David?
Thank you very much. That concludes my report.
Actually, there is, Denisha is trying to get in onto the Zoom call. Could
Yes, I'm
someone?
sorry, I was tied up there.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay now? Okay, we'll move on to the officials' reports. Public Works, trustee Horn.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone out on the internet there. Branch pickup is complete. So you can stop piling branches along the parkway. You may be asked to relocate them off the street if they are stacked up too close to the roadway. Public Works will announce via the village website and Facebook if an emergency branch pickup is warranted, and give residents ample opportunity to get their branches to the curb. We usually give about a week's notice for those things. Now, water main construction on Main Street and Will Center is complete. All water service transfers have been completed and the village has received all passing and operating permits for the project. Restoration has been completed today or 95% of the restoration has been completed today, as of today, of the locations disturbed. And I'll say we've done a great job. Kudos to Superintendent Crizel and his team for getting that in, because that was and done, because that was not started till later in the year. I think August, September, somewhere around there. So great job for that. And another reminder from Public Works is to inspect their mailboxes before winter weather hits, because we want to make sure there's secure posts in the ground as plows drive by. So that's good to know. Thank you for reminding me, DJ. I need to do that myself. Also, please look at the village website and the local Vedette newspaper for news briefs and important information from Public Works. The next issue will be coming out, I believe that will be in January. Will feature safe driving tips and snow removal tips for residents. That is the end of the report, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Doug. We'll move on to Parks and Rec. Trustee Wilson. Michael, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Can you, I apologize in advance. I'm having technical difficulties with the audio.
Very good. Well, you're okay.
Last Friday, as we know, was the Drive-By Santa event that went off wonderfully. I would like to take time to thank all those involved, our police department, Monee PD, fire department, and Monee Alliance of Churches for their song. And last but not least, Santa. He's a very busy guy this time of the year.
Yeah.
Took time to come visit us. Be looking for the newsletter, the village newsletter the last week of December. So the last week of December, be looking for our updates. Hopefully, we're looking optimistic towards next year and our programs being reinstated. End of report, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mike. We'll move on to, I wanted to say building services, but Janet, we'll move on to finance.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have anything to report on finance because Daryl reported everything for me. So thank you, Daryl. But I do have a little tidbit on the beautification committee. We do have our holiday house decorating competition. It's going so well. We've probably tripled the number of houses we had last year. So really exciting. I've seen some of the houses. They look so beautiful. So I encourage you to keep an eye on our website, on our Facebook page. Diane, our Director of Parks and Rec, she is keeping that up to date with pictures of the houses. And of course, Jill is doing a great job keeping it all together from the list of houses themselves. So do keep an eye out for that. Today, I believe, is the law. I think it was yesterday, but we've accepted people today. I'm sure we might accept one or two more if they come in before the end of the week. But yeah, it's really exciting. This year, it's going to be judged by representatives from the Monee Historic Society. And so be looking out for that also. End of report.
Thank you, Janet. We'll move on to economic development. Trustee Razik.
Good evening, everyone. I just have one thing tonight. The Village of Monee and Terrell's Eat the Bone Barbecue LLC have negotiated a redevelopment agreement to locate a barbecue restaurant at 25655 South Governors Highway. The proposed opening date is April 3rd, 2021. Board action on the proposed redevelopment agreement will take place later on this agenda. End of report.
Thank you, Anthony. We'll move on to building services. Trustee Udris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I get to the building services report, just on a personal note, for those that don't know, I came down with not only with COVID, but COVID pneumonia. Got so bad that I couldn't walk 10 feet without having to sit down to catch my breath. Ended up in the hospital for 3 days. Came home, lots of steroid treatment, antibiotic treatment. But I wanted to thank everybody that reached out to me. My wife also had COVID at the exact same time. So it really created a hardship at our house. But the thoughts and prayers that everybody threw my way, I so much appreciate. But I wanted to bring that up because I want to let everybody know this COVID stuff is real and it is really bad. This is by far the scariest, hardest thing that I ever went through in my life. So please wear your masks, social distance, sanitize your hands, wash your hands, do everything that you can to be as careful as possible. Don't go through what I did. It just is horrible. So I just wanted to publicly say that and hope that maybe I can reach some people to start to wear masks or start to take care of themselves. So thank you for that, the opportunity. For building services, month of November, building services issued 32 permits. The value for the month of December for those permits was $408,230. 9 homes, excuse me, went on the market and have been scheduled for resale inspection. Building services would like to inform all the residents, business owners, and contractors that the Village Hall still remains closed to the public due to the recent increase of COVID-19, and that will go until further notice. And as a friendly reminder, the Village of Monee still has a lot of businesses who have not contacted or called in to schedule their annual business license inspection. So please call Building Services at 708-534-8303 to get those scheduled promptly so that we may deliver your business licenses for 2021. And again, a reminder that if you have any questions regarding any inspections, home repairs, improvements, building structures, code compliance, or anything related to the Building Services Department, they can be reached at that same number, 708-534-8303, or can be emailed to buildingservices@thevillageofmonee.org. And on behalf of the Building Services Department, we just want to wish all the residents and business owners a safe and happy holiday. End of report.
Thank you very much, Trustee Uders. We'll move on to public safety, Trustee Gonzalez.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and hello, everyone. Just a short report tonight from Chief. Just to reiterate the recent applications. The new applicants have completed the written exam. Of the 31 submitted applications, 17 showed up and 13 passed the exam. And that list is posted at Village Hall, the PD, and online. And oral interviews will be held in February of 2021. The sergeant exam is now scheduled for January 23rd, and that current list expires on February 7th. And furthermore, the deputy chief language in our police and fire commission is still being amended and update, and a meeting will be held later this month, and hopefully moving forward with that appointment from there. Also, the K-9 position, which is in the budget this year that we're hoping to get a new K-9 officer, is still on hold to contract language, and it's awaiting the next contract meeting as well, hopefully within the next month or so. All COVID infected officers have returned to duty and are doing well. Knock wood, all healthy as today, and everybody is being diligent with masks, disinfectants, and distancing. End of report.
Thank you, Heidi. We'll move on to the attorney's report. Larry?
Thank you, Mayor. I have 6 items for the board's consideration. The first item is the annual tax levy ordinance, which has been prepared and reviewed by staff. It's up for the board's review and consideration. We have to have this adopted and filed by the last Tuesday of December. So tonight is our last opportunity to adopt this ordinance. And it should be noted as I believe a 0% increase. So that's been for the last 3 years, no rate increase from the village's standpoint.
Can I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Second, any discussion? If not, roll call, please. Denisha, are you with us?
She can't hear. Or
Unmute.
Something, Denisha. We can't hear you.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Trustee Blue,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez,
Yes.
Trustee Horn,
Yes.
Trustee Razik,
Yes.
Trustee Wilson,
Yes.
Trustee Udris,
Yes.
Thank you. Done.
Ordinance number,
Number.
I'm sorry, could you say that louder?
We're getting the ordinance number. My apologies.
What was it?
It's Michelle. The ordinance number is 1961.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item for the board's consideration is an ordinance for a special use permit. It has been submitted by Mr. Hanson. I believe he's in the audience tonight. This is for property at 6360 West Emerald. A zoning board meeting took place on 2 occasions to review the application from Mr. Hanson. I believe it passed the zoning board unanimously. There were certain conditions attached to the application, or strike that, to the ordinance with respect to the use and the improvements for the property. It has been, I believe, reviewed by Administrator Wallace. It is up for review and consideration before the board.
Could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Is there a second?
Yep, I'll second.
Yeah.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just, I'm very interested to see the end product of this, Mr. Hanson. I hope you'll have an open house or something. I'd like, the building plan is intriguing to me, so.
Definitely.
keep that in mind.
And
Definitely.
I have to say, Mr. Hanson, thank you.
Thank you so much, board, trust members, mayor. Yes, I would certainly love to have a field trip out here. There's some very interesting things that we produce for both the private and obviously the military sector. So it would be very exciting to have everybody here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Wally.
thank you, Mr. Hanson.
Any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez. Trustee
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Horn. Trustee Razik.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson.
Michael?
Yes,
Trustee Udris.
Yes.
Trustee Blue.
Yes.
1962.
Thank you, Mayor.
yes, yes.
The next item on the board's agenda is an ordinance amending Chapter 3, Section 6E. This pertains to the number of liquor licenses for, I believe, Class E, thank you. Which is for Paul. Yeah, this is an individual that I believe we passed already, the Monee Liquors. All we're doing is making it a formality to approve this ordinance so that he would be in conformance with the terms of the terms and conditions of the ordinance.
Now, could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any
Second.
discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Horn.
No,
Trustee Razik.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson.
Yes,
Trustee Udris.
Yes.
Trustee Blue.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Yes.
And that would be 1963.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item is a resolution regarding the library facility. This would be a referendum to be placed on the April election. It is an advisory referendum. Basically, what they're asking is the residents, would they like to see a facility located within the corporate boundaries of the village of Monee? Again, it's advisory. It will be on the April's agenda for the residents' consideration.
Could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Razik.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson.
Yes,
Trustee Udris.
Yes.
Trustee Blue.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Michelle, resolution number?
It's going to be 2020-5.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item is an ordinance approving the redevelopment agreement with, is Eat the Bone Barbecue LLC, I believe. Trustee Racer talked about this in his, part of the meeting. This gentleman, who is a resident of the village of Monee, is intending to construct or renovate the building where Mae's Barbecue, I think, was planning to go. Mr. Terrell has asked for $40,000 as a TIF payment. He has more than enough TIF expenses. He would have the facility in operating condition, I believe, by April 5th of 2021. He does presently own a restaurant, more of a catering facility. This is within TIF number 5, and it would be 1 month payment to Mr. Terrell for $40,000 based on him complying with all of the requirements of the village and occupancy permit being issued.
I think he's in the audience.
Pardon me?
I think he's in the audience.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make
I'll make
that.
that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
What
you
is the
verify the second
location
for me?
for this? Is this, because Maze was going in next to Monee Liquor, which I thought was going to be a pantry now. Or is this going in near where Maryland's was?
No, this is going into Monee Liquor Depot on the north end of the building.
Okay.
The pantry distribution center is on the south end of that building.
Do you know the group of the Bun Bun
Okay.
Girls?
And I have Trustee Blue is first. May I have the second?
Second.
Okay.
And I believe that if there are any questions directly for Mr. Terrell, I believe he might be in the audience there.
Let's see his name.
I don't have a question, but best of luck in getting this up and running. Look forward to it.
Very good. Okay, and no, any other discussion? Comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Wilson,
Yes.
Trustee Udris,
Yes.
Trustee Blue,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez,
Yes.
Trustee Horn,
Yes.
Trustee Razik,
Yes.
1964.
Thank you, Mayor. The last item I have for the board's review and consideration is, as Trustee Gonzalez referred or talked about, is the position of Deputy Police Chief. This is a managerial appointment. I do not believe it has to go before the Police Commission. This is the mayor's appointment with advising the consent of the board. If this is a new position, this ordinance creates a position. Pursuant to the ordinance, the mayor would have the right to select that individual with the advice and consent of the board. The deputy police chief, whoever he or she might be, basically would assume the responsibility of running the department on an absence of the police chief. He or she would be second in command. It's up to the board to review and consideration.
Could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll make that second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, too, I would just like to point out too, yes, it is a new position, but it is already in this year's budget as well. So it is a budgeted item, but contractually, we just have to get this ordinance and language correct.
Thank you, Heidi. Any other comments or discussion? If not.
Yes,
roll-
Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry. What was that?
Yes. No. Yes, Mayor. If I would, just for a second, I'm looking forward to this position being filled. We're excited about the development of our community, along with that, the development of our infrastructure, which the police are going to be very vital and important in that aspect of it. So we're growing, we're moving in the right direction, and I like to see that.
Thank you, Michael. Anyone else? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Udris,
Yes.
trustee Blue,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez,
Yes.
trustee Horn,
Yes.
trustee Razor,
Yes.
trustee Wilson,
Yes.
Denisha? You have a number for us, dear?
I think it's 1963.
Yeah, she's muted for some reason.
1963.
I don't know what's going on. I'm here now. 1965.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Larry.
You're up on new business.
Okay, is there any old business?
I have a question that I guess it's a question. I know that and understand that we're close to having completion of the TIF project at Lavis, and this is the only meeting for the rest of the year. My question is there anything that we can do right now, like a pre-vote or being able to do like a phone vote, that if that project does get all of its steps completed before the end of the year, that we can issue a payout, or do we have to wait till the January meeting?
I would say we have to wait until the January meeting.
Okay.
Any
Just
other old business?
not to prolong this, but is that the opinion of council in this regard?
Yes, sir. Mostly because it is a monetary decision with respect to the payout. We would have hopefully 2 weeks to make sure everything is done in compliance with the village code and the redevelopment agreement. But phone votes, I'd be cautious about that, especially with the payout of roughly $97,000.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. Any new business? Yes, there is. Oh. David, you want to take that? Larry? Go ahead, Larry.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 2 items for the board's consideration. The first item is a resolution to adopt a referendum regarding the property taxpayer advocate position. This is not to be adversarial with the county or the township. It's more to complement their services. He or she who was selected or voted into that office would help taxpayers with respect to tax bills, assessments, possibly are they getting all the exemptions he or she's entitled to. This would be, if the board approves it, on the April agenda for the voters' consideration whether to establish this position as an elected position. It's up for the board's review.
Any discussion on that?
Need
I'd
mo-
like to make a comment about it if I could. I want to thank Janet Blue for this. You pushed it, Janet, and brought it up. And I think it's a very important position. Thank you.
Thank you.
We need a motion in a second.
After the discussion I just discussed, anyone else have anything they want to say?
I thought we usually do the
You have
motions.
to have that first before you have discussion.
Okay, I need a motion.
Make the motion.
Second,
Second.
any other discussion?
So I do have 2 questions on this. Number 1, would this be a paid position?
What happened, Doug?
Uh,
Is that Doug talking?
That's Doug. This is Doug. Yep. Would this be a paid position?
Go ahead, Doug.
Shall I take that?
I think.
Whoever
Doug-
clears it.
Right, the proposal is for the.
Janet, go ahead, Janet.
Okay, so this came out of residents approaching us saying they need help with their tax appeals, and because they don't understand it, they don't know how to get it together, and they've approached the tax assessor in Monee Township, and it wasn't helpful for whatever reason, and so the thought was to have an independent property taxpayer advocate, someone who would be able to help as an elected position, someone to assist our residents with their property taxes, as council said, to help them put something together, to appeal them, to understand them, to talk about reforms and different freezes and exemptions they could be eligible for. And as an elected position, the thought is that this would be paid the same as a trustee. So it would be $4,800 a year.
So what kind of training? I mean, isn't there some kind of training that someone would need to actually function in this position?
I understand. I spoke to a taxpayer advocate in another municipality, and he didn't receive any training. He just understood the property tax appeal system very, very well. So we would need someone with that kind of level of knowledge. And of course, we're not choosing them. The residents would choose them. So it would be a resident's choice, whether or not they want a property taxpayer advocate. And if they do, they would elect the person they feel is best qualified for that.
You know, would they, I guess sorry, I said two questions. I have a follow-up in it. Would this person be expected to hold some kind of regular office hours? Because as trustees, you know, we're expected to be at certain meetings and so forth. And that's how we get paid. So what would be the, I guess, the rubric for them to?
Well, we have a really short job description, which I think I shared with everyone when I originally sent the information around. And that's something that we can build on, because when I spoke to the other taxpayer advocate, he said he never knows how much work he's going to have from one week to the next. One week he may not have contacts from anybody. Another week he could have 10 people. So it really depends on the level of work that he generates. And of course, in that downtime, he or she can look at education, different reformation bills that might be coming up that would affect the property tax, and share that with our residents. He or she would be the go-to for assistance or more knowledge of property tax appeals.
Would residents be expected to pay him or her?
I'm sorry?
In addition? Would
No.
there be? So it'd be totally free.
Right.
So would it make sense for everyone in the village to appeal their property taxes, and then they could conceivably be, it could turn into a full-time job?
Well, wouldn't that be wonderful if they all won the appeal and we actually did something? We offered our residents a service that would actually help them lower their property taxes, bearing in mind, we're just one line of 10 lines of our property tax. So we can only control our one line of it, but this way, at least we can help our residents to get the most out of the rest of that property tax bill.
So would it?
I have one more question, Janet.
Yeah.
So if this is an elected position within the village of Monee, is this position need to be filled by a village of Monee and or Monee Township resident?
Well, we haven't gone to that depth of the job description. I'm sure we'll all want some buy-in on that. My first thought is that we would mirror it along the same lines of a trustee of the village, that you would need to live within the municipality, which is what the other taxpayer advocate does, because our taxpayers would be paying for that salary. So it's only fair they get the benefit. Again, these are just my thoughts. There's nothing written in stone.
I just wonder if it would function better as a hired position, so we could actually get somebody who has some knowledge or experience in it, rather than, whoever would get in and have a on-the-job learning curve, which could, in the short run at least, hurt some of the residents that they are elected to help because they actually don't know what they're doing. I don't know.
Well, I would just assume that, Trustee Wilson, I would assume that the person that would put in for this position or would run for this position would be knowledgeable in the field and want to help people. So I don't think that, it's going to be we're going to be a select few and may even have a hard time finding people within. But I'm more concerned about a qualified person in that position. We're going to have to make certain guidelines or stipulations as to what they have to knowledge or work experience they possess. My thoughts.
Which would lend itself to an appointed position or a hired position rather than elected position, I would say.
If I may add one thing, which hopefully will clarify some of the discussion. The job description or the qualifications or the requisites for the job, that can be set forth in the ordinance. So the board deems appropriate that he or she's got to have, let's say, a bachelor's or some type of accounting background, or he or she's got experience in this field. You could set that forth in the ordinance itself to say this is what he or she would have to, be qualified for with respect to that position.
Good.
One last point, if we did a hired position, it gives us a little bit more control that, if we get someone elected who doesn't know what they're doing, then you're sort of stuck with them versus a person who is hired and has a job description. We want this type of training. Maybe they're an accountant or a CPA or whatever, or that we could dial in a little bit on qualifications, making sure we get the best person for the job versus elected. It's a little bit. It is a wild card.
It would also be more. It would cost more. Then it would. I don't think they would do it for the. Just over $4,000 a year. So then you're talking about a full-blown salary, and I don't know that the workload would substantiate that.
We could do a consultancy by client.
What would that be like, Heidi?
Well, like on a part-time basis too, that maybe they, this person, and I agree with you, Doug. I want to go on record as saying is I agree with you too. If it's an elected position, finding someone who certainly wants to do it and would be qualified. That pool in the village of Monee, I think, is very small, which is maybe why we're having this the need or the seeming need for this because of what we're up against already for somebody just being elected to, pardon the pun, collect a paycheck for it. So I agree with you the same way. But what if we did, like a part-time or a consultancy that, they take, up to 12 clients a week or something. Or, as a per hour basis on as needed basis.
I mean, I think my record is pretty clear. I don't like taxes. I mean, I like low taxes, but, if we want to get the biggest bang for our dollar, whatever dollars we spend, it seems like we would have a little bit more control hiring or getting a high quality person for the position rather than.
Yeah, I absolutely hear what you're saying, both Trustee Horn and Trustee Gonzalez. But this came about from residents who said they would like some help to appeal their taxes, to understand them, and all the other stuff we've already talked about. The point of having an elected person versus an employed one is about control. We don't want this person to be under the control of the village. We want this person to be elected as an elected by the residents. So if they choose to have one, and they may choose not to, but if they choose to have one, then they would be part of that process to elect them. And that's, I mean, we don't know what's in the village. We don't know who is in the village or the experience we've got in the village. So until we actually go out there and look for that expertise, I think we're all just talking about what may or may not be. And the question tonight is whether we ask our residents, do they want an elected taxpayer, property taxpayer advocate? I think their answer will give us the next step in the road we travel as to how we find that person.
Yeah, so I'm not going to assume that that person's not out there and that they don't want to help. And I'm assuming that there is a person out there that's going to want to take the position, and despite even the pay, they would do it for free. But we don't know until we ask, until we poll, until we get out there in the community. But I got the same feedback from residents that they are concerned, and when they do appeal taxes, you know, they're asking people, asking neighbors, have you ever done the process, or get fed up with the process, get diverted to Will County, and then even get further disenfranchised from the process. But especially, I'm talking about seniors and the older community primarily that I've dealt with and that had issues with taxes. So I would like to leave it up to the citizens to see what they want.
Agreed.
I guess my only other thought too would be, is this a service that we could even possibly add on to the treasurer's position, or even, you know, and even upgrade the treasurer's position rather than creating a secondary position if the residents vote down having somebody solely as this is a secondary option to add this to what the treasurer does.
I think that's certainly something to consider, assuming the residents come back and say, yes, they want help from that kind of service.
Any other discussion on this? And I need a motion.
We have a motion in a second.
We have the motion already, I'm sorry. So let's do roll call.
Trustee Blue,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez,
I'll say yes. Let's see what they have to say.
Trustee Horn,
No.
Trustee Razik,
No.
Trustee Wilson,
Yes.
Trustee Udris,
Yes.
Larry, are we needing an ordinance number for this being a referendum?
Resolution number.
Resolution number. So that would be 2020-6.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Under our new business also, there is an ordinance approving the purchase of roughly 40 acres of vacant land near Industrial Drive and Governor's Highway. This is the property that we entered into with respect to a letter of intent. The due diligence is being conducted. I think it has been finalized. This property obviously is vacant at the present time. There are plans to put up a village facility at that site. In addition to this 40-acre purchase, we are receiving 7 acres, total of 7 acres for park purposes, we believe. The purchase price is not to exceed $365,000. It has been on the market for a long period of time. 360,000, I'm sorry, not 365. The seller has requested that we try to close this deal if at all possible by end of the year. So it is up for the board's review and consideration to approve the ordinance purchasing the vacant 40 acres near Industrial Drive in Governor's Highway.
7 acres is donated.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 7 acres. It's 32 acres that we're buying. 7 acres is being donated. So it's a total of 40 acres. We did get an appraisal on the property also to verify the price that we're paying for this land.
Could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez,
Yes.
Trustee Horn,
Yes.
Trustee Razik,
Yes.
Trustee Wilson,
Yes.
Trustee Udris,
Yes.
Trustee Blue,
Yes.
1966.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Let's see. Let's let you be at the end of it.
Okay, no problem. That's all I
Okay,
have.
we'll move on to open to the public. Non-agenda items, please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Mayor Pop,
Anybody wants to say anything?
Mayor Pop. This is Tanisha Kojo, if I may. I don't have it. It's not open to the public. I was just trying to see if I can insert the clerk's report from prior to before we get to that portion. Is that okay?
Go right ahead.
Okay. I did send this in last time. My apologies for former permissioning of the last meeting. I was actually in urgent care at the time. So I did want to just give a report back from with our early voting. Of course, we had a really great turnout, as everyone knows. It was 1,316 voters. I did want to thank all of the volunteers that helped. It was Mayor Pop came and helped us for a bit, Mrs. Pop, Deputy Clerk Powell, Ashanti Smith, Mary Angelo, Linda Marshall, Elena Esparza, Barbara Smith, of course, Superintendent DJ Curzel, Randy Velasquez, and some of the other EMA workers came out, and I really appreciate that. They, of course, helped from disinfecting the pins and the booths and directing the line and helping each one. We were able to help every voter that came and didn't have to turn anyone away. Also, I think Shannon Curzel, who came and UV'd the space. Also, I appreciate all of the residents because of the inclement weather and the different issues that we did have. You all were really great and patient during that time, so I really appreciate you all for that. And also just want to give a thank you to everyone who helped with the last free food box giveaway that we had on November 7th. We gave 1,200 boxes away to the community, and we really appreciate all of the assistance from our neighboring community, University Park DPW, who came to help as well. And I appreciate of course, all the thoughts and prayers, as well as our frontline workers. And I thank you for all the frontline workers for everything they do. And I'm so glad and grateful for all of our officials and employees that were affected for them being back and well. End of report.
Thank you, Tanisha. Okay, now we're at open to the public, non-agenda items. Limit your comments to 3 minutes. Anyone out there want to talk about anything? If not, I'll turn it over to our lawyer for a moment. He has some things he'd like to talk.
Thank you, Mayor. There's been some discussions in the previous meetings, and this isn't supposed to be adversarial, so it's more for information purposes. The executive session, there is specific rules and guidelines that we have to follow, which I believe we do at each and every meeting. We're extremely careful on that from my perspective. And I know there are some questions, valid concerns or valid questions regarding the village's recent transaction for real estate purposes. And just so there's no misunderstanding, I went through the records to verify which purchases we made. And I went back, I believe, almost 8 years. I've been here 20, but I can remember about 8 years. So just to let the board know, this is what transpired recently. The first one was the same. This isn't an order, but my files indicate the same. The first one was the St. James parcel, also known as Franciscan Alliance. The village purchased this site at Egyptian Trail and Governor's Highway on August 8, 2019. The purchase price is $1.8 million. The property is owned by St. James Hospital, also known as Franciscan Alliance. The purpose of this purchase was to create the Monee Town Center, which has been on the drawing board for probably the last 2 or 3 administrations. The village did not borrow any money whatsoever for this purchase. The second transaction would be the Eagle Fair subdivision / Dave Contorno transaction. Per the terms of an agreement with Dave Contorno, the village conveyed 4 parcels of real estate to Mr. Contorno. This transaction took place in October of 2018. In exchange for the conveyance of said parcels, the village received title to 2 parcels of real estate owned by Mr. Contorno near the McCorkle subdivision. This was in reaction or in response to some concerns by the residents. This was settled. There was no borrowing money from the village again on this transaction. A more recent transaction was 5500 West Wilson. The village purchased this property June of this year. The purchase price is $115,000, which is less than the listing price. I think there was concerns that we're paying over and above the market price. That's not the case. The property is located next to the Monee Town Center project. Again, the village did not borrow any money for this transaction. In 2016, the village purchased 6025 Industrial Drive. That property was intended to be used for the Village of Monee Public Works building. The next transaction were lots 3 and 6 on Industrial Drive. The village purchased lots 3 and 6 in 2017 for the price of $185,000, which was again less than the listing price. The purpose of this purchase was to extend Cleveland Avenue to develop better ingress and egress to Industrial Drive. The village did not borrow any money on that deal, and that the improvements have been made, so there's access from Cleveland Avenue to Industrial Drive. Lots 3 and 6, same parcel. The village sold parts of that lots 3 and 6 to Northern Builders. This sale occurred in November of 2018. With that transaction, we were able to complete that building that's fully occupied as of today's date. Number 7, we had tax sale properties in Eagle Fair. The village in 2018 and 19 was offered the opportunity to purchase tax delinquent properties at Eagle Fair subdivision. The delinquent taxes from these previous owners were substantial. They range between $10,000 to $20,000 per lot. However, the village purchased 5 lots in this subdivision for a total of $750 per lot. The village is not responsible for any payment of delinquent taxes or charges. The next one was Monee Industrial Governor's Highway Industrial Drive. This is the property we talked about tonight. We have not completed the transaction. We are hopeful, as I indicated before, to close this deal by the end of the year. The village is not borrowing any money on this transaction. Number 9, Gulf Vista Estates. The village at no expense whatsoever obtained a lot from Gulf Vista Estates ownership. This lot will be used for retention purposes. This conveyance took place in 2020. Number 10, the Governor's Highway parcel, which has been a subject of discussion for the last 2 or 3 months. It does not appear that that transaction is going to take place, even though there's good faith negotiations between ourselves, Mr. Wallace, and the seller's attorney and the owner. And the one I do not have listed, we did convey some lots to Eagle Fair subdivision, more specifically Seamus, in exchange for getting 2 lots to him. He conveyed 2 lots to us so we could put up the water tower. I can go through a few others, but those are probably most recent. We did buy some lots several years ago where there's parking for the park administration building on Court Street. And we did buy a few parcels to put in some infrastructure, mostly a water main. But other than that, those are the transactions I'm aware of. I do have documentation for each and every transaction. I can document everything if so necessary, but I'm just trying to clarify the situation with respect to what we paid for the lots, if we borrowed any money for the lots, and each and every time we did this transaction, it was for a public purpose. That's all I have, man.
Thank you very much, Larry. I think you've cleared up a lot of things there. I hope a lot of people are listening and they pass that information on to others. With that being said, what?
Here, is there still time for open discussion?
Yes.
I was on mute. Is that okay?
Open to the phone.
Who we talking about?
This is
Who are
Dave
we talking
Quinn,
to?
New Life Physical Therapy.
Okay. Go ahead, David.
All right. Good evening, Mayor Pop, trustees, Mr. Wallace, and village officials. My name is David Coingan. I come here tonight on behalf of New Life Physical Therapy. We have been in communication with Mayor Pop, Trustee Blue, and Mr. Wallace since May of 2020 in regards to the village administration's plan to purchase 25620 to 25624 South Governor's Highway. This is the current business home for Kitty Care House and New Life Physical Therapy. Our initial meeting where we met here, Mayor Pop and Mr. Wallace verbally offered to allow New Life Physical Therapy to remain at 25622 South Governor's Highway. However, Kitty Care House would be evicted prior to the village purchasing this property. The reason is unspecified. Later, I had a meeting with Trustee Blue. We discussed the village administration's plan for the building. She stated the building would be repurposed to house Village Hall, the building department, and the public library. Trustee Blue stated that construction was not imminent and the current businesses would have plenty of time to relocate. In early October, Ms. Davis from Kitty Care House reported that Mr. Wallace indicated that both businesses were being evicted. Mr. Wallace contacted me about a month later on November 3rd to let me know that New Life Physical Therapy would also be evicted. I'm here today to request Mayor Pop and the Village of Monee Board of Trustees to allow and assist New Life Physical Therapy to remain at 25622 South Governors Highway. I would like to purchase the building located 25620 to 25624 South Governors Highway. Our current facility is ideal for treating our patients, and it's difficult to construct anything at this time. But we're able to provide safe services to the residents of Monee who entrust their care to us, and we take this very seriously. So please help us stay in Monee by allowing and assisting us to purchase the business home for Kitty Care House and New Life. Thank you.
Larry,
Yes, sir.
Larry has a response to that, David.
Yes, sir. I don't see it on the screen, but in my memo that I addressed to the board, I indicated this transaction, our proposed transaction with the owner of Doc's Drugs, that will not materialize. So you're more than welcome to try to purchase the property, and all our efforts with Ms. Santoris, who I believe is the owner, we did indicate we want to be very, very fair to both tenants. It wasn't a matter of trying to evict someone. That wasn't the case whatsoever, sir. But to make a long story short, there is nothing pending at this time for that property. So you are free to try to, make a transaction with the owner. We don't intend to proceed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. If that's everything for open to the public, there's no executive session. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
A
I'll
second?
second.
Any discussion?
1 second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Horn,
Yes.
Trustee Raisik,
Yes.
Trustee
Yes.
Wilson,
1 second.
Trustee Udris,
Yes.
Trustee Blue,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Yes.
Okay, we are adjourned.